They believe it would be great for your kids to be transgender. But you want to go to them for life advice? Are you serious? This is why therapy makes you gay. This is why therapy is not for the modern man. Without some wild exceptions. Therapy is not for you, it's not built for you, and it makes you weaker. Y'all saw the videos we did earlier where these people are having therapy sessions. They don't even talk to men like they men. They talk to men and they say these phrases like, what would make you feel safe? As if a man's life should be about safety. Are you kidding me? What man who has ever accomplished anything has felt safe doing it? Life is not about safety for a man. It's about accomplishing your goals and facing your fears, protecting and providing for your family, whether you feel safe or not. Let's go to the next part. I know you cover my face, but you got to.
Continuing on, 63.2% of social and personality psychologists are liberal on economic issues. 10.3% identify as conservative. 10.5 liberal professors to 1 conservative professor in psychology. That's a huge ratio there.
Yes.
Only 6% of social and personality psychologists identified as conservative overall in a 2012 survey, with more diversity on economic and foreign policy issues. 37.5% of psychologists expressed willingness to discriminate against conservative colleagues in hiring decisions from that same survey.
That's insane.
That's 37, almost 38% of psychologists expressed willingness to discriminate in hiring decisions.
So you can't even if you thought there was a group of conservative psychologists or therapists, they're discriminated against for their ideas. They can't even express themselves.
Nope.
My fault. I interrupted you there.
That's okay. I bought some time. I was able to shrink down our graphic a little bit. And then approximately 9% of professors in academia, including psychology, are Republican,
9%.
indicating 9%, indicating underrepresentation of conservatives in fields like therapy from a Shields and Dunn study in 2016.
And you think you're going to get a unbiased opinion from them. You think they're going to tell you how to lead your wife. When they believe in the feminist nonsense, that's what left-wing people believe, if you didn't know. They believe your wife. I can't tell you how many people, I've seen so many Reddit stories about a husband and wife going to therapy and the therapy telling them it would be best if they opened up their marriage. It would be best if they dated other people inside of the marriage for a little while. That's insane. No conservative would ever suggest something like that. And for you people to think, and especially Christian people, that you're going to go to secular therapy and get your life straightened out, you're just as stupid as these liberal therapists. They're not going to give you godly advice. They're not even going to give you good advice. They're going to take your money and tell you the most liberal, dumb thing to do. And then when your marriage fails, they're going to give you some liberal answer of, you just grew apart. She's the right person, but she wasn't right for you at that time. They're going to give you some liberal, gay response about why it's justified that she leaves you and takes all your money. Therapy is gay, and so are you as a man if you think that you're going to go to therapy and get some legitimate answers. You're not. Let's go to the next point.
Yeah, and there's a 14-to-1 ratio.
Man.
A 14-to-1 ratio of liberals to conservatives in the broader field of psychology.
14-to-1.
14-to-1.
So if for you to even think about it this way, for me to even find a mentor that's conservative that I like, I have to go through many conservative mentors in my church or believe the same thing as I do. Never mind the fact that one might be Catholic or Orthodox and I'm Baptist Christian. So I got to go through all those conservatives to find one I want. There's 1 in 14 that even be considered a conservative. Imagine if you go into therapy, how much nonsense you got to sift through just to find somebody that might even agree with your worldview. Who wants to sift through that? You can go through the next point, Mr. Producer.
So we've got this. There's a cultural encouragement of emotional expression.
This is why, my fault, before you even go into
Mhm.
that, this is what the reasons why therapy is slanted more towards women and why it's not beneficial for men and why it was created to be a more feminized field. Go ahead, you can go.
So women are often socialized to express emotions like sadness or vulnerability, aligning with therapy's emphasis on verbalizing feelings. Men, conversely, may face cultural pressure to suppress emotions, except anger, making therapy feel less accessible or relevant. Many therapeutic approaches, like talk therapy, prioritize emotional openness, which may resonate more with women due to these norms.
And this is a good point, but it's still giving a little bit of woke talk here. It's saying like society encourages men to express anger more than their other feelings when actually that's not true. It's just the way that men are. We have an issue, Mr. Producer?
Yeah, we have someone who says that your mic may be a little bit low. If you could be a little bit closer
Okay.
to the microphone.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, what I was saying is what happens is we have all these therapists and liberal ideology that tells us this is not how men actually are, but society is pushing them to be more angry. Society is pushing them to actually have more feelings. Or not my fault, is so pushing them to not show their or express their feelings. When actually that's just how men are. It's not what society is pushing us to be. Men actually get very, very depressed when we don't see action that we can do, things that we can accomplish to reach our goals. Women actually get more depressed when they cannot express their feelings to one another, when they feel unheard. It's a very big difference there. And if you don't understand that, you're going to go into this liberal ideology of thinking men and women are exactly the same and need exact same solutions. This is why they put men and they sit them on a couch and they talk about them feeling safe and talking about their feelings and talking through their emotions. That's not what men need. Men need to have a plan, something they can do to accomplish their goals. If they don't have that plan, you talking about their feelings will do nothing and will feel like a waste of time to most men. We can go to the next point.
Therapy, marketing, and aesthetics.
Yes.
Therapy practices often market to women through language, imagery, and settings that emphasize nurturing self care
Yep.
or empowerment, terms that culturally appeal more to women. Offices may feature softer decor, pastel colors, cozy furniture, which can feel less inviting to men who might prefer neutral or pragmatic environments.
Do you see any truth in that, Mr. Producer?
I see, yeah, I think a lot of this is geared toward the women.
Yes.
Is where everything is soft.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they try to make it as soft as possible.
I would say
I think.
yes, because if you really want to see how a man is taught to be a better man, put him on a sports team. Put him on something where he has to accomplish something and people are pushing him not to fail, that people are depending on him. If you want to rehabilitate a man, take away his need to provide, take away his drive and his purpose for being driven, take away somebody, all the people who believe in him. Have his wife compete with him and don't look at him as a hero anymore. It's go ahead, you gonna say something?
And if you're creating an environment where it's soft, you get what you expect.
Yep.
you're going to get that softness,
You're gonna get a soft man.
and you're right, you're going to get a soft man instead of a man who is confident,
Yep.
and you create that environment to get that softness from.
Yep. If you actually look at things that encourage men versus the things that encourage women, women have to feel empowered. They like words of encouragement. Where men, when they are encouragement, sometimes they need a man's voice to say, get off your butt, stop being weak, get up, go out there and achieve. That's the way we feel encouraged. And it's much different because than women, and it shouldn't be treated the same. I think it's disgusting when you try to act like little boys and little girls should do the same exact thing. And then we get to adulthood and they wonder why we're so messed up and why women are losing attraction to most men. It's because most of these men have been taught to be little women.
Yes.
They talk about
Yes.
expressing their emotions more than they do actually achieving anything in life. We can go to the next point.
Okay. Huh. Therapists often specialize in areas like body image, eating disorders, or prenatal mental health. Sorry, perinatal
Yeah,
mental health. Sorry about that. I mixed up my medical
it's
terms,
all good.
which disproportionately affect women or are marketed toward them. While men face issues like depression or trauma, specialties like men's mental health are less common, potentially making therapy feel less tailored to male specific struggles like toxic masculinity or work pressure.
Yep, I think that breaks it down completely. One of the things, a lot of the things that you see people getting therapy for are eating disorders. All the things that women deal with more. They deal with this proportionally, statistically, a lot more than men do. And a lot of even the mental health, women struggle with mental health more than men do. Now, what people have said, and I got in this argument online, is like, well, only because men are too scared to get diagnosed. That's actually not true. Women are, by nature, led by their emotions. By nature, their hormones go up and down. By nature, they fluctuate with emotions and hormonal seasonal things way more than men do. They have menopause, they have periods. Come on now. And then the mental health stuff on top of that, you think that doesn't have any effect on mental health? Absolutely. They have
Oh,
postpartum
it
depression.
totally
Come
does.
on. Like anybody who says that men are just as unstable, they're not. They're not. Have you ever talked to a woman who, I hate to say, like, because people won't think I'm bashing women in my life. I'm not. But every woman I've had in my life, when they're going through that time of the month, they have expressed to me that sometimes they will cry and not even know why they're crying. No man on the planet who is worth anything has ever done that. Has ever started crying, broken down, and say, I don't know what I'm crying about. Unless he has some weird drug overdose he's doing. He's taking shrooms or something. But for the most part, men are in control. We're supposed to be stoic. We're supposed to have a even slate of emotions every day, unless something very drastic and traumatic has happened. We're supposed to be the rock of the family. We're supposed to be the one where it's like, that's dad. We know. We even make jokes about it. This is dad. This is the chair he sits in. This is a TV show he watches. This is his daily routine. He's stoic and he acts this way. This is what makes him angry. This is what he likes. Sometimes when you deal with a woman, you don't know. It can change from day to day. Some things can really piss her off one day. Some things will really be like, that's no big deal another day, depending on her emotions and her hormones. That's not nothing to take us to ridicule a woman. It's just the nature of who they are. So it's like, yes, a lot of these mental illnesses and mental health issues that therapy deals with, men, we don't need it. We just don't need it. We can go to the next point.
Demographics. The therapy field is predominantly female. About 75 to 80% of psychologists and counselors in the US are women per APA data.
Which is crazy.
This can create a perception that therapy is more attuned to female perspectives as female therapists may unconsciously prioritize issues or communication styles that resonate with women. Men may feel less understood or hesitate to discuss male specific issues with female therapists.
It's
Yes,
true, and it should be that way because women don't understand the male mind at all. If the last on YouTube, all you got to do is scroll through 3 videos and you'll see all the what's the word? The lack of understanding from the sexes. The only difference is I think men have to understand women to some degree because we're the pursuers. You have to understand your wife in order to even get her to like you. Like for instance, you got to understand what type of flower she likes. You got to understand how to dress. You got to understand how to smell. You got to understand like how to carry yourself as a man to even gain the respect of women, to even get into the sexual marketplace. But as a woman, you don't really have to understand men. You can get married just by being beautiful and having good genes. A man will pursue you. And because of that, I don't think women typically understand what men are going through. And because of that, most therapists are female therapists, which is say what 70 to 80%.
believe so. Let's pull it back up
Yeah.
again. Yep, it's right.
70
Yep.
to 80% of
Yep.
the therapists are women. How can they give you instruction on how to be a better man or to how to get over these things? I remember having a discussion recently with a woman who had a doctorate in therapy. And it was an argument about a young man. And we were discussing what would be best for this young man. And I told her, I said, I think it will be best. Keep in mind, she has a doctorate in this. I just told her, I said, I think it'd be best if this young man was to get some physical correction in the form of coming to a wrestling event, coming to a wrestling camp, learning how to control his anger through that, because the man was struggling with anger. And she said, no, I have a doctorate, and what this young man needs is he needs law enforcement to come punish him. And I was like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. That's not what the young man needs. The young man doesn't need a citation from law enforcement for horseplaying. He needs a father figure to take him along and say, young man, this is not how you express yourself. Young man, this is what happens when you get too emotional and hurt another man. Somebody's going to hurt you. And you teach him that softly as a father figure. That would do way more for him than him receiving a paper citation from a cop. And instead, this woman with a doctorate argued with me. And you want me to believe her with a doctorate in psychology and therapy couldn't even figure out the simple fact that young men need action. She's the type of person instructing you and you sit down on her couch and tell her what's wrong with your marriage. And she's gonna fix that? Please. We can go to the next point.
Okay. Therapeutic approaches of favoring verbal communication.
Yep.
Oh, we got some fancy words in here, Jack. Many therapy modalities, for example, cognitive behavioral therapy, psychodynamic therapy, rely on verbal processing, which aligns with socialized female communication styles. Men who may prefer action oriented or problem solving approaches might find these methods less engaging, and therapists may not always adapt to offer alternatives like behavioral interventions or coaching style therapy.
What do you think about this? At least for the first part, at least.
So, yeah, I mean, a lot of that aligns with how women communicate,
Yes.
and it's geared more toward women. The psychodynamic therapy, verbal process. Talk about it. Verbal processing.
Yeah.
How is that whole? How do you feel?
Yes. Women get in a circle, and this is not, some men make fun of this. Realize that this is how women are, and you shouldn't be mad at it, and you shouldn't go out of your way to say, oh, these stupid women. This is what they do. Women get They'll go out to eat, they have a book club, they gather around in a circle and they talk about their feelings and they can do this for hours. That's not what men do. That's exactly what therapy is it not?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You're trying to talk through things without putting things in action.
Right. Because men, we prefer problem solving. We,
Yes,
we
we don't.
prefer doing things. We prefer action.
Matter of fact, when we looked at those video clips from earlier, instead of giving the man a concrete, what's the word, step by step process
The
of what he
process.
should do to fix it, they talk about, and what does that make you feel? That's so counterproductive to a man. We don't even really understand
We
that.
don't. We
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 don't
don't. We don't.
understand that because we don't even think like that. We don't think, how does it make me feel? We think, can you hurry up and give me the answer? Can you hurry up and give me the step by step to make this woman stop complaining? Can you hurry up and give me the step by step to understand why my wife is upset and we can't get anything done in the house? Can you give me a step by step process on how we can get our finances together and stop arguing? That's what men want. We don't want this. Well, let's talk about the ramifications of when she said that I felt this way, and I don't want to hear that. It doesn't do anything for me. It does something for women. They need to understand their feelings, to process it and to cope and all this stuff. I don't care about none of that. In fact, my wife will ask me sometimes how I feel, and I'll just straight up tell her it doesn't matter. I'm thinking about what we're going to do next to make the family and the direction that we're going as a family succeed. I'm not for one second thinking I'm not going to go this way, even though I know it's right, because I feel bad about it, or it makes me second guess, or makes me like have an emotional reaction to whatever it is. If I know it's right to do and it's the best course of action for our family, my feelings shouldn't come into that consideration at all.
No.
And therapy is all about how you feel.